we are winging this. All right, so not the best angle. And I'll be honest with you, title-wise, we're not actually like making the base. I'll talk about how I made it, but this is the base. He's got a moving jaw, some hinges that still need a bolt because I'm lazy and I've been putting the bolts on, but this is just gonna be a short little live stream. I haven't uploaded on the channel in so long. It's been a hot second. So we're just gonna, I don't know, I like doing these little chats and just working on stuff, and this time I'm actually gonna be working on stuff. Hello. So I'm just gonna be, this guy needs some sealant. Right now he is not a sealed boy. He could chip, and that's not what we want. So he's gonna get some sealant. We're just gonna kind of coat him in Mod Podge. That's it. Which I think is the best sealant. It's cheap. I like it. Never had a problem with anything chipping with Mod Podge. Only with other sealants have I had any problems. What's his name? I actually don't have a name for him yet. He's obviously a very spooky suit. He was really inspired by this one suit from Beast Cub. Beast Cub made this really cool suit named Seltsam. So I'm not going to steal the name from the suit I'm very inspired by. And this right here, this suit is like a prime example of how to take inspiration from a suit and not replicate it. So when I eventually want to do a video on replication versus inspiration. Because like, for example, things he has in common with Seltsam would be he's very demonic-esque and he's got the 5 eyes, but that has to be it. Like, they give off spooky vibes without a ton. I don't want to be like without a ton of the color black, because right now his face is very black, but his fur is actually going to be white, like Seltsam's. I don't know how to. I think I'm saying that right. It could be Seltsam. I could be saying it completely wrong. But yeah, it's this very beautiful suit. It's like I think I said Clockwork Creations. I don't know. I might have just said the wrong name of someone. But yeah, you can't see right now. I'm just kind of coating him. I plan to give him 3 thick coats of this just to prevent chipping. And he's not really going to be rubbing up against anything. I just worry, you know, just in general wear and tear and stuff. And I might even add a 4th coat. Who knows? This would be way easier with spray Mod Podge, which I have, but I don't want to get it on the eyes. I wasn't really loving the eyes, but now that I've painted the face, I do. They look kind of like targets, like they're narrowing in on something. Let's see, what else has been going on? I'm aware Don't Hug Cacti is in a lot of trouble right now. I was actually following her, and it's really disappointing when people who are, I think she's got 40K followers, so obviously she's very large in the furry fandom, like, yeah, but it's really disappointing when people who are, you know, such amazing makers, such public figures essentially in the fandom turn out to be such awful people, which I have not read all the way through the Google Doc, and they just seem to be witness testimonies, and I read the first ones, and it doesn't look good. There's no like screenshots or anything, but there's just so many people coming forward that you just gotta. I've seen so many people condemning her, and it's nice because that's the thing. People like to act like the furry fandom is just filled with more awful people than any other fandom. Hello. Oh, I see ya. But in reality, the furry fandom is about filled with. Maybe there's slightly more of like zoos and stuff, because this is like the only place where they can really congregate somewhat. But the furry fandom is really good about calling out bad behavior when it is brought to light. That's one thing I'll give the fandom, because there's a lot of aspects I don't like Popu Furs. Like, be like, oh, Majira. I'm like, what does Majira do? He like makes subpar YouTube videos, and I'm sorry to, I used to be like a huge, you know, oh, I love all these Poppy Fur YouTubers, which I think Poppy Fur is such a stupid name. Like, props to whoever created that, but also, why? But yeah, I don't see the, like, they're like, oh, 10 scary fursuits was one someone made. I'm like, this literally has nothing. This is like the YouTube version of a BuzzFeed article. Like, really, man? Whatever, I mean, whatever makes them happy. I just view that as very low content, hence why I don't do stuff like that. I tend to only want to make content that I watch, which is odd because I would never watch live streams. I don't enjoy them. I never actually enjoyed podcasts until a little bit. I've been watching a couple of podcasts. I watched one with Internet Historian because I like his voice. He's the one who did the video on rainforest. And he was going to do one on, was it Anthrocon who got chlorine bombed? Or was it Midwest Fur? I want to say it was Anthrocon. But apparently he didn't have enough information because the story was a dead end. And yeah, I don't think they ever did find out who did that. Which is, I mean, when you think it, that's a little concerning. But, I mean, I guess that would be a hard thing to find out who did that. He's just getting his second coat. Oh, we got 4 of you. Oh, hey, Messy. So I'm just painting him, and I can go over. I actually have some pictures because I did document the making of the dragon. The silicone mold has a little tear in it, which is something I can fix because it's just on like the bottom neck scales. But it made me realize like the dragon's a very difficult project, so I made this bird base. And you know, if I make some money and I decide, you know, maybe I'll do more bases of requests, because I know like Amber kept mentioning was it a lemur she wanted a base of? That'd be fun. I don't know, but for now with this, the base actually doesn't have any of these scales. I sculpted these all on last night with epoxy sculpt, which on one hand, epoxy sculpt is so incredibly expensive, so you could argue that I wasted a ton of money making these scales. But I have a second container of it. Plus, I want this to be durable, and the resin cast was a bit thin, so I'm really happy that I could reinforce it with epoxy. Plus, like, we all know these scales aren't going anywhere. Like, I dare say they're stronger than the resin. But yeah, I'm just painting the Mod Podge on, which, by the way, is called Mod Podge and not Mod Podge, which is what I've been calling it for years, and no one ever corrects me. So I've been like, oh yeah, Mod Podge, and that's what I told someone I seal with, and they're like, what is that? You mean Mod Podge? And I'm like, yes, that is exactly what I mean. I see the label every time I use it. I just choose to not call it the right name. Yeah, I think there's the end of his second coat right there. He's looking beautiful. I'm really happy with how the suit's coming out. I've never worked with the resin base before, so this is a lot of new things. I made him his own hinges from scratch, which is really cool. How am I? Pretty good. Yeah, I'd say pretty good. I've been working on this fursuit most of the weekend. Online school is no fun. I am not enjoying that. That's why I've actually been kind of dead. It's really been kicking my butt. It's like, once I'm done with it for the day, all right, I'm done. I'm you know, gonna unwind. So haven't really had the energy for this. But once this suit is made, I'll make a little debut video, and I'm not sure if I'm selling him or not. Because on one hand, kind of amateurly made. Like, I made the hinges from thermoplastic. You know, he's a bit rather thin cast of a base. On the other hand, like, he's a resin-based fursuit, and he's relatively simple, so it's not like there's a lot that can go wrong. So I'm not sure. If I do, he'll be pricier than my other ones because he is a resin cast, like, but who knows? I'm not sure. I'm definitely keeping him around for Halloween, although I'm not dressing up as this guy for Halloween. I'm doing a cosplay with someone. Let's see, anything else going on? My furry amino is so dead. I got like a weird message, like, hi Sakura. It was from this like random dude, and I'm like, despite what people say, like, oh, it's like, I've never gotten creepy DMs from someone aside from like one other person. And aside from the usual like kill all furries, I haven't really gotten weird DMs. But this week I got 2, one on my furry amino, one on my Instagram. And I'm like, did the stars just align or something? I've been in this fandom for like, 3 years now? And then suddenly within 1 week I get like 2 creepy DMs in one? Like, dang, I am on a roll this week apparently. Let's see, anything else that I'm doing. I got crystals for my dragon. By the way, I did make a dragon resin base, and that's over on my Instagram. But they're the wrong colors, which is fine because I can use them for other things. I was talking to someone, like, do you want me to return them? I'm like, no, because I can use them for other stuff. It's not like a total loss. Worst comes to worst, I could use them on the dragon. I would just have to paint them, you know. So, yeah, I might sit down and start sewing some of this guy's head. I'm just working on attaching his neck to the rest of his neck, like the front of his neck. Any other? Huh. That's weird. It's not giving me chat options, which is a little... Live chat. There we go. There we go. I'm sorry. Some of these aren't over the DMs all hateful or creepy. One of them was like, hello. Hi, Sakura. And I was like, hi. And he's like, how are you, uwu? And it was like this like 20-year-old dude. His picture was on his furry, you know. I'm like, on one hand, I don't want to block someone because they're not attractive. But on the other hand, creepy man DMing me. So he hasn't messaged me since, and so I'll probably just, you know, block him. And then the one I got a while back was this guy being like, hi, I'm looking for, you know, a girlfriend in the furry fandom. And I'm like, you're looking for a straight woman in the furry fandom? The furry fandom is predominantly males and predominantly LGBT. Like, that's a hard search, man. So I was like, yeah, man, whatever, I'm not interested. I kind of wanted to see how old he was, though, so I did kind of lead him on a little bit, because I was like, I have to know if this is, like, a 40-year-old dude, and he's like, oh, no, I'm 15, which, it could have been a 40-year-old dude saying he was 15, but I was like, yeah, no, sorry, man, and he didn't know how old I am, because that's the thing, I don't show my face on any of my profiles, it's just not something I want, you know, associated with my work, so it was like, yeah, man, no, I could be, like, an 18-year-old who just looks young, like, I don't know, and the only picture I had of me that was, like, full body was, like, my picture of me in Alchemy's clothing, which was, like, it looks like, you know, like, I have, like, a jacket on, it's really hard to tell how old I am, so I'm like, are you just messaging, like, 300 accounts and hoping to find a girl, because this is odd, like, it's weird. Let's see, what else? Oh, right, Voice of Truth, if you guys are familiar with him, so Kira the Wolf, bad person, right? And you remember a while back, I couldn't get my live streams to stay up, I kept saying, like, is someone reporting these? And I chalked it up to bad connection. Yeah, no. Voice of Truth was reporting my live streams. I don't have any proof of that, I just think that's what happened, because he came over, and he commented on one of my videos, because I said essentially, I don't normally ever leave hateful messages. It's not the kind of person I am, and if I do, I have alt accounts. The last thing I'm doing is associating this account with stupid, and I never tell anyone, like, go kill yourself or something, right? Despite the fact, you know, people send furry stuff like that all the time. I don't do that, but Kiro posted, I'm coming back to the furry fandom, and I literally was like, oh, no, you aren't. I'm like, dude, I think I did say this world would be better without you, because, like, he's an animal abuser, and that's not something I tolerate. And I actually deleted my comment after my live stream kept getting reported, because I'm kind of paranoid, and I was like, oh my god, is Voice of Truth friggin', like, reporting my videos? And he was, because he commented on one of my things! I was like, I know I shouldn't be that person, because I deleted the comments, I was like, oh god. And he goes, I deleted your comment. I'm like, no you didn't, I deleted it myself. Like, I very rarely go back and delete something I say, but that, my friend, is something I did. I just found that interesting, and someone and I, we've made or may not have trolled Voice of Truth and sent him a couple mean messages. I got on an alt account and started commenting at him. I commented on him on my real account. I got a friend of mine to comment with me, and he left the second we called him Kiro, which is, by the way, Voice of Truth is most likely just Kiro, because every time someone calls him, says like, hey, you're Kiro the Wolf, he stops responding. Is the constant rant. It is, well, to be fair, it's like when something happens in the furry fandom, it's very rarely just stupid drama that I ever hear of, because every time I hear stupid drama, I just, stupid, dumb. But another time, but like half the time it's like really serious and people are calling this drama and I'm like, dude, this person is getting arrested. This is no longer drama. This is illegal. So it's just a bit like, come on guys, you know, this is a little more serious than you're giving it credit for. I don't know, it's just, and then I don't think anything else. Just been working on some art. I desperately need to be posting on my account. I keep going on my alt account that just won't grow. I don't know what Instagram did. It ain't just furry drama, it's a crime. It is! Kiro, and by the way, because people were, the voice of truth is like statute of limitation. Kiro didn't get, charged because one, that's pushed back because of Rona. And two, they're not going to be able to find evidence because essentially the victim is dead and buried. And plus, it's just, they're not going to put that much effort into like a dog as they would a person, which is really unfortunate. But you know what? And by the way, let's say Kiro didn't harm his dogs. We still know he's into animals because of the chats that he confirmed are real and that people have proved are real. So, you know, either way, he's still a piece of crap. He still deserves to be, you know, chased out of fandom regardless. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, furry drama, a lot of people are like, oh, drama. I'm like, this isn't drama, guys. This is a little more serious. Like, come on. Take this seriously. But yeah, it's, I don't know, the furry fandom is a wild place. I got a message from someone like, oh, you're a furry, why are you in my recommended? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Are you looking at furry art? Because I'm in your recommended for a reason. And actually, because I thought he was just going to give me the normal message of, oh, go kill yourself, goodbye, right? But actually, the dude ended up being somewhat friendly. We had, like, one conversation, and he left. And he was like, all right, goodbye. I'm like, all right, whatever, man. But, yeah, I was like, you know, it's always nice when you're expecting someone to tell you to off yourself, and it's not that. Which, oddly enough, I actually haven't received too many, like, go off yourself messages. As a furry, which by the way, it's kind of wild that as a furry you're just like, oh yeah, that's to be expected. That's probably gonna happen once or twice. It's always nice to not get death threats. I agree. Like this one page, I was participating in the profile picture thing on my alt, and by the way, like I say alt as if it's like you can find my alt if you look for it. I don't recommend it because I don't, you know. My alt is like, if you were to be like, oh, are you Sakura? My answer would be no. Like, I wouldn't admit to it. And I'd be a little pissed off if someone was like, this is Sakura's alt. But, it's not impossible to find. I don't make this hard to find. In your opinion, where is the best place to sell head? In my opinion, it would have to be the dealer's den. But, the thing with the dealer's den is I don't know how it works, and I don't do auctions for my suits because my suit is worth, you know, $400. I'm not going to charge more than that. And so I'm not going to, you know, risk that. I would rather just sell it for what I think it's worth, because even if it is just worth $400, people, you know, place bids up to $600, I'm still going to feel guilty. So I recommend Etsy. Etsy takes about 10% of your cuts. 10% of your cuts. It's been a long day. Etsy takes 10%. But it's a very reputable source. Every time I've had a problem with Etsy, I've gone to them and they've immediately been like, yeah, here's a real life person to talk to you. I've never had a problem with a customer refunding me through Etsy. The thing with Etsy is Etsy, if someone disputes you, will probably take the customer side. So what you need to do is you need to give a very detailed thing. So I literally just have a list of just flaws in the suit. And I don't try and be like, great high quality suit. And I'm like, no, this is what this is. This is a medium quality suit. Like with Astrid, I was like, this will probably, here are the areas. Here's a picture of the stitching. This is what the stitching is like. So you will probably have to fix it up after 1 or 2 wears. And so I let the person know that the stitching will eventually break in certain parts because it's an older suit. And so you have to be honest with it. Because I have only ever been completely honest in my listings. And I've never had a problem selling one. Now, I do have a fair amount of people interested because I've always sold my listings within like 2 weeks. And I'm not trying to brag, it's just I think it's because I don't list suits very often, and when people see them, people either A, already have the money ready, because they're like, oh, I'm going to get a suit from this person, or it's someone who doesn't even know me. It's like, oh, look, this person's selling a suit for $300. Snatch it, and that is an awesome deal. Do I take fursuit commissions? I do. Alright, that's the thing, right? I tend not to, because I'm not experienced with taking commissions. I do take art commissions if you're interested. In all honesty, I have set prices, but if you make me, like, I will barter with you over an art commission. Fursuit commissions, it depends on the offer. If someone were to be like, make me a custom 2-colored head for $600, I wouldn't turn that down, because I now do have a PayPal, which is where I plan to take the art commissions. I just want to take an art commission first, because to get a hang of how commissions through PayPal works. I have a general idea of how PayPal works. I just want like kind of a test run before I do something big like a fursuit commission. But the problem is I don't own a pair of trimmers, so that's why I don't work with fur very often. So if I were to take a commission, it would have to be like for Salem. Salem's a suit whose face is made out of fleece and his neck is then made out of fur, and I'm like, I'd do that. Or I would have to take a commission like my suit Hara. I would love to take like a kimono suit thing, but I'd like to work with Minky and stuff, which to be fair would make it cheaper. Minky sells for like $15 a yard, and that's at Joann's, who like it's like an extortion with the prices they have. Never go into Joann's without a coupon. Don't buy fur from Hobby Lobby, because I asked for a yard, they gave me like half a yard and charged me for a yard. I'm like, what is your definition of a yard of fabric? Because I'm looking at this, and this is like 2/3 of a yard max. Do I just spoil myself with like big yards of fabric or something? I don't know. I'm just looking for a mini fursuit, partial tails, paws, and heads. I also, I do plan to list a couple of my suits, so if you're ever interested and you're like, hey, is this suit of yours for sale? I'll always answer that. Now, for certain suits of mine, the Plague Doctor Alchemy, she'll never be for sale. Same with Hara, my kimono dragon. But I also take requests, so someone would be like, hey, I'm really interested in a suit from you. Would you be willing to make here's a suggestion for a pre-made. Don't be like, make this pre-made so I can buy it. If you're like, hey, would you be willing to make like another suit like Hara? Because I'd really love a kimono suit with big ears like that. I'd be like, yeah, I'd consider it. At the moment, I do plan to make another kimono suit. I'm working on a kimono fish, and that's a personal suit, because I'm trying out this big, huge mohawk, and I don't know how well that's gonna work out, so I don't want to sell that. But I do plan to make another kimono suit. I'm actually in the market for a species, so if you have any suggestions for my next kimono suit, it'll probably be another month or two before I get started on it. But I'm always open to suggestions. My favorite things to make are dragons, because there's so much room for interpretation with dragons. I think I've only ever made, I made the dragon resin base, and then I made Hara. I'm going to start sewing, by the way. I'm just going to bring you down here, so I can work on this while we're while I'm live streaming, I guess. I don't mind if it's not fur. Yeah, that's the thing. I personally really recommend a Minky suit, because Minky is soft. I think it's a little more durable than fleece. I feel like it lasts longer. And then also, sorry, this is like in my lap. I'll grab like a fursuit or something, so there's something in the camera frame. I don't know, part of me wants to sell Salem, because Salem's are I can get a nice 500 plus for Salem's head and paws, because he's just a better made suit. He's lined and everything, and then he has interchangeable tongues. He's got teeth in there. But I also really like Salem too, so it'd just be, I'd love to make more suits like this, because this took way less foam than a normal suit would. The only thing with Salem is his eyes can be they do look a bit buggy, but I think they work in their own way. But yeah, I'd love to make a suit. I just prefer working with fleece. Alright. I don't mind if it's, alright, sorry. I like to read through the comments, because sometimes they don't pop up right when you guys send them, and so I need a second to check. Right now I'm working on, I really enjoyed working on a realistic suit, especially one like, you know, the creepy bird griffin thing. I guess it'd be a demon, but yeah, I find So if you're a new fursuit maker, I don't advise taking commissions. Point blank period at all. At least until you've been doing this for a couple years. Like, I'm at the point where if I wanted to take a commission, I probably could. The reason I don't think doing it is just because I'm like, alright, the amount of time and effort, I work very sporadically on a suit as well. Like, I make an entire suit head. If it was Salem, I think Salem was made within a week or two. But the thing is, I don't like stopping and asking, oh, does this look good? I like doing the entire thing in one sitting. So, like, by the time someone were to respond to, oh, does this look good? That's already in, cement, that's already been confirmed on what's going to be on the suit. So if they don't like it, like, oh, do that. And I have a habit of changing designs, too. Like Hara. Hara used to have freckles, but that was, like, way too much work, so I decided not to do them. That's not something I can do on a commissioner suit, unfortunately. Like, artistic liberty, that's something I'd consider. Artistic liberty commissions, like, alright, give me a species, give me a color palette, or, like, even just a main color. Sketch up a basic design and tell me things you're okay with me changing on the design. And I'll do that. Because that's something I could, say if someone gave me, oh, I want you to make this. I'm like, oh, I don't want to add the stripe anymore. That's not a big problem because they know it's an artistic liberty suit and they know that I, have the artistic freedom to change things on it. But with a commission, that's not really an option. I actually offered on this one fursuit maker's post, they were like, oh, I've always wanted to do a custom head. I'm like, I'm not nearly at your level, but I'll offer a custom head to you because, you're that great of a maker. I knew they wouldn't accept, and I don't think in a million years they'd pick me over some of the other people who were offering, but I did throw my hat into the ring on that. I want to do something for 300 followers, and a lot of people suggested an art collab, but I don't know what an art collab is, like an art trade or a big piece where I draw other people's characters. Like, I was really confused on because I got that suggestion a couple of times, so I just tossed it in there thinking nothing of it. And now I'm like, what is an art collab? Can't I just give you guys free your character here slots? Because that is so much easier than whatever an art collab is. But I might honor the art collab, I don't know. Let's see, I saw a message. Salem was a speedrun. He was. Salem was done in like a week. I like how Salem's face lays really flat down, because the one before that, Stardust, his face was not nearly as smooth as Salem's is. But the problem is now Salem has a million seams in his face, so him and Stardust were like opposite ends of a problem with doing the faces, and Fleece and doing them. And essentially, Fleece and Minky show seams very, very well, which is awful when you're working with fursuits. So that's kind of something you have to work around. Also, I really hope this neck I'm sewing will actually fit on the suit, because I haven't had a chance to try it on the suit, because the suit's been, first it was paint, and I don't want to put this on when the paint's just dried, because I don't want to chip it. So now it's sealant. A vague description would be awesome, because you do what you have. Same thing to answer. Exactly. Like, a red dragon is something I could work with. Or like, hey, this is a character, you can simplify them as needed, or whatever. I personally prefer dragons just because I'm a bit of a dork, so I think dragons are pretty darn cool. Those are my favorite fursuits. Not Dutch Angel dragons, because those are so overdone. I do have a Dutchy character, but I think they're overdone. Just a little bit. Let's see, what else? I'd say that's about it. I'll end the streams pretty soon because I've got stuff to do, but Dragons, I can't wait until it's finished up too. It'll have to wait until after this one, and possibly till after the kimono fish, who knows? But after that, Mr. Dragon is, actually it was gonna be a female dragon, but I don't really care what, it could be androgynous, I really don't care, but with all the sparkles and the, crown and stuff, so it really just, like the crystals were gonna look like a crown essentially, but I'm not really sure what I'm doing with the design there, because I have an idea, and I plan to use like the gold paint I have, but other than that, I'm not quite sure on what I want to do. You know what I want to go fabric shopping, but I can't subject people to that. Because, like, on one hand, I'm like, oh, it's something I like, you know. But then I'm like, oh, Lord, I am awful to fabric shop with because I am so indecisive. I will walk around with, like, the entire thing of fabric for a solid 20 minutes before being like, yes, this is what I want. Or, like, I had a friend, I was like, which black fleece looks better? And she's literally like, they're the same thing. I'm like, no, they're different. And let's be real here. They were probably fairly, I think it was between Blizzard and Anti-Pill, or I think that's how you say it, or Anti-Pile or something. I don't know. But I was like, this one's cheaper, but this one's softer. She's like, just pick one, dude. We've been in, I think I dragged her around Joann's for an hour. Which, she was a champ for letting me do that. She was like, yeah, now we're doing what I want. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. I did drag you around a craft store. And the thing is, too, she's also not a sewing person. She's not a craft, fursuit sewing person. I think she used to cosplay. I actually would really love to cosplay. But the thing is, I'm just not confident enough to do it. And I can never find a character I like. Because a lot of the characters I like in, like, anime or something. You're late, you're all good. A lot of the characters I'd love to cosplay are ones that, like, I couldn't pull off. Like, my favorite characters, I don't know, I guess I tend to favor the pretty anime boys. Those tend to be my favorite characters, because the females in anime always have such showy costumes I'd never want to wear. Plus, I'm not sure I really trust weebs at a convention dressed as a less than super clothed female character. I've heard some horror stories. I'd love to go to a convention in my fursuit head. I guess not Hara, because Hara's a bit hard to, you know, breathe in. But I'd love to go in, like, my fish once I make her, because the fish will have a really cool big mohawk. But I'm planning to give her, like, the domes over the eyes. So you know how Hara's eyes are covered. Gender fluid dragon. So Hara's eyes have those plastic coverings, but the problem with the plastic covering is it makes it unbearably hot in her. Like, despite Hara being a suit that's made of minky fabric exclusively, she gets ungodly hot, and her eyes will fog up. And I've seen stuff, and apparently, even if you do the things to, like, the plastic, the eyes will still fog up. The people on the outside can't tell, and I'm like, that's worse. I want people around me to know I can't see. Do I play Animal Jam? I do not, but I play Among Us. And, I plan to dress up as Black for Halloween. I don't know if Black, like, has a name. Like, I want to, like, this is my OC, and then give her an actual name. But I plan to dress up as the little one. I was gonna do the horns, but I'm just gonna forego the horns and just do the astronaut helmet. I have a dino make a dino mask fursuit. You know who makes amazing dino mask fursuits? Would be Nefertiti. I personally am not a big fan, but that's like a personal preference. Because I just feel like I don't like the samey face that's going on with them. But that's also because I don't particularly care for the look of dino masks. So I guess, like, if it was like a More For, like, because I love More For Less, right? Who's a maker who has same face syndrome, which theirs is intentional. But I really, and I like all their suits. So I guess it's just a matter of me not liking the specific, like, I'd love to do a dino mask fursuit. By the way, this is all sewed up. I guess I'm not sure if I want to sew the lining in or not. I think I'd rather attach the lining to the fursuit first, because it's like a balaclava, but a cheaply made balaclava, because I used fabric I already had. But yeah. So, oh, I hear a child crying. That's never good. I don't know. I guess let's see. Anything else? See, I always think I have enough things to talk about, but then I run into them. And then I run out of them. And I'm always like, I'm kind of a fursuit. That's cool. You'll have to send me some of your work. I always like seeing smaller makers. There's a spider web on the poles of my fan. Ooh. That's the thing. I've given up. I don't like spiders, right? But I live in, like, a basement. So my thing with spiders is, so long as I'm not getting spider bites, I let their web stay. So long as I don't see them. If I see them, I'll kill them. But for the most part, if it's like up on the ceiling, I won't mess with it because there's bugs down here because it's a basement. And we do our best, but you know, it's a basement. And so that's where the bugs tend to congregate. And as someone who's like, I'm very scared of bugs, I'll let the spiders live for the most part. So long as they're not biting me, the ungrateful little crabs. If they start biting me, I'll go around and I'll start murdering them. Which sounds a little more violent than I meant that to be. But yeah, it's just... It's an inch away from stepping in a giant's... Ooh, I hate the big ones. I'll kill the big ones. But the little ones I'll let live. So long as they don't bite me, because the little ones are the ones that bite, usually. I do plan to get some fursuit pictures. And part of me wants to wear Hara or Salem because they both have the pretty... What is that, cyan on them? I'd say it's cyan, but it's not quite bright enough. And it's like my favorite color is this blue. My shirt's actually a pretty similar color. It's slightly more green in real life. And I'm like, oh, this color works great with them. Wait, I have a Mochi Raptor head I still need to sell. See, half the time I forget which suits I own. Like, I own too many at this point. I plan to sell the Mochi Raptor, Scotty, Nightshade, as of right now, and Bismuth. Bismuth is already packed up and everything. I've just been too lazy to actually write the listing. Because she's got a long list of problems that need to be... You have more mercy than me, I kill on say. Do you have any advice for furring a head? Yes. One, you want to make that head as symmetrical as possible. So if you don't trust yourself that that tape pattern can be flipped over, your head is not symmetrical enough. Do it again. So essentially you should be able to just tape half the face and then just kind of reverse the pattern. I would start off, I like doing suits like Salem here, like all his color comes from his horns and his eyes and stuff, not the face. So I wouldn't do a multicolor fursuit head. I'd start with like 2 colors max. Fur is awful. It gets everywhere and you can never get rid of it. So beware on that. You will have to have a lint roller with a lot of sheets left. You will need like a whole new lint roller. Sorry. I personally recommend working with Minky and Fleece because even though Minky does get stuff on you, it's not as bad as fur. I think fur is best used as accents, like Hara's hair, this guy's. Let's see. Strategically place seams. So you'll always want a seam right here. That's always going to be a seam. Depends on how so like Salem's muzzle goes. So a seam right there was kind of necessary. If you use fur, the seams won't be as visible. Your hand sewing should look, I'm just going to show like this or better. If you can see that. That's how close they should be very close together. My hand sewing's still not great. Or you should use the machine. I hand sew because on the face, you kind of have to be very precise. So I prefer to hand sew everything on a head. Yes, the seams are clean. Thank you. I've been working on this one. Don't forget, if you're hand sewing, stop, knot it, keep going. This one has a zipper in it. You don't need a zipper on a fursuit if it's a toonie head. For the most part, you don't need them unless you want the neck tighter fitting on something like a realistic head or a balaclava base. You probably need a... On this one, he's fine without a zipper. But most balaclava bases will do a zipper. Like this might suffice if you're sewing things together. But make your stitching nice. A ladder stitch, which is literally just what you do is you kind of do a loop around the fabric and then you go through and you pull. That's not the ladder stitch. That's the blanket stitch or something, I don't know. The ladder stitch is a good stitch to know. That way you can hide seams. That's how I attached his. I mean, there you can still kind of see the seams, but it's way better for attaching stuff. The resin first. He's right here. He's still drying. He needs one more coat and he's good to go. He's gonna have some lovely stuff. I actually made the ears out of mesh this time because I plan to put a lighter weight fur on them so they're not going to be too weighed down. And then I used some dense foam right here, and I pat out the back with foam as well. But I want really thin ears because I'm going for a more realistic look. Yeah, he was originally supposed to be an owl, but I think his beak is slightly too large to be an owl. But yeah, here he is. I don't know what names I want to give him. He looks awesome. Thank you. Let's see. Any other advice for furring a fursuit head? Do the eyes last. I do the eyes last. But that's it. That's about it. I'd say watch a video. No one's above a tutorial. I've been fursuit making for, it's been 2 or 3 years now. And I still, you have name ideas. Oh, feel free to drop in the chat. I also have, I always plug my Instagram on these things, but it really is the best way to contact me. Like on my Instagram, I update twice a week with either fursuit pictures, art, fursuit work in progresses, stuff like that, right? And then I also respond to messages fairly quickly on there. And I also update my story with a lot of work in progresses. That's where, like, optic. Ooh, I kind of like that. Because of the eye. I kind of optic from Soulbound. I'm still mad about that being canceled. But nothing I can do about it. On one hand, I get that, like, here's the thing, right? She's still, like, selling Soulbound stuff, but she's not, like, finishing the series, which is a bit, like, I don't want to be, like, suck it up and finish the series if there's 1 episode left. Which is what I would do. Like, for example, the only series I've stopped doing is one. I think I finished my first LPS series, which is now on private because it was awful. I might make someone cringe and make them watch a couple episodes because it is that bad. It is awful. Like, it is prime cringe. My other series, which I've only left out because it got a decent amount of views and it wasn't as bad. It's still not great. Sirens. If that had 1 episode left and I was trying to sell stuff from it, I think I'd be obligated to finish the series. But I got like 3 episodes done. I think I got a 4th, but I never actually posted it and I deleted it. But yeah, I don't know. It was just really frustrating because I really liked the plot of that series. And yeah. Ooh, Draco, like Draco Malfoy. That's the thing. I haven't read Harry Potter in years. I think I read it in 3rd grade. So I used to be so smart. I used to be so advanced in reading, and now I'm sitting here like, ooh, man, I don't know. I'm not sure I want to read that book for school. I didn't like the book I had for school. You ever just read a book and you, like, I'm not one to critique, like, plot points, right? Normally I'll get behind them, like, oh, I see. But the one I had to read and I finished, the ending was just so contrived. And it was just like, oh yes, the bad guy was like this all along. And I'm like, that makes no sense. There are no references to it. You clearly didn't know how to end the story. And you just threw that in there. Like, really? Like, just be like, we never found out who the body was. The end. It was some unidentified person. Like, that would have been, like, an answer. But instead, like, oh, no, it was the evil man all along. I'm like, yeah, I agree. I think evil man had it coming and evil man should have died. But I don't think he should have been the corpse. What's still public? Are you talking? Is it my series? Oh, your first video. I kept my very first video, right? No, I didn't. I keep up some of my really old stuff because I do want people to see that, like, everyone can improve. I might make some more LPS music videos. They're fun to film. It's fun to be able to essentially make a music video without dealing with people. For those curious, I do still have customs up on my Etsy. I've really been trying to get rid of those. So if you're interested, they're up on my Etsy. They're not getting any cheaper, so this is the time. But first season of my series is super cringy. I don't remember. Did I watch? I'm going to say no, it's not. But I have to be honest. I think I said I was going to watch it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to watch Messy Series. And then something always came up. So now I got to prove you wrong and watch it all messy. I made 2 MVs to stop suicide. That's always a good message. I'm gonna be real here. Apparently there's like a something Heritage Month this month. I didn't know it was a thing. I thought we had like Black History Month and then like Pride, and that was like it. But apparently there's, I think, September. It is still September. I want to go, oh, September was like, it's still September. Is Suicide Awareness Month, or was that August? I don't know. I didn't know these things were even a thing. Which I guess is one of the benefits of following a bunch of people who are super, on one hand, right, I don't get involved in political things, and if I do like anything that could be considered political, I do it on my alts, just in case I no longer stand that position. Like, for example, if I stated, because I went through my super cringy politics phase when I had the channel, so in a couple of my older videos, I do voice political views I don't hold anymore. Which, once again, that was not the place to say my political views, man. Like, I should have just gone on Reddit and argued with people. But no, I had to put them on my YouTube channel. In live streams, I no longer remember which ones I said this cringy. So if I always say something, I always say, like, for the most part, if the opinion's more than a year old, double check with me to see if I still hold it. Because for the most part, anytime I'm like, oh, do you really think this? I'll be like, I mean, I've never had someone ask me about that with my old videos, but I had one person, they commented, because LSD Fursuits, right, when I did that live stream, I was like, I found it really sketchy how Picari included a fursuit made by her, but the thing is, the first thing when you look up, like, LSD Fursuits, like, she should have just Googled the name to make sure the first thing that popped up wasn't a Beware, and so I felt like that showed a lot of negligence from her, because I was like, dude, this is, like, a well-known scammer. You are a, like, big person in this fandom, so I feel like you really should look out to make sure you're not promoting a suit by someone like that. And someone goes, I don't think Picari would intentionally do this. And I'm like, I never said she would. I just said Picari was a very big idiot when she did that. Like, I feel like that was she didn't think that one through. And I was like, I don't think she maliciously did it. I just think she didn't do her research. And a lot of people like to think I say, like, oh, someone spat. Like, no. I always assume the best in people. Whenever someone does something dumb, I just assume they're an idiot. Which is better than me assuming that they're, this awful, terrible person. So, like, for example, if I had someone accidentally message me, like, or react to my story with, like, a creepy meme, I would just assume, oh, must have accidentally hit that. I've done that before, and I've been like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to respond to your story. I am an idiot, and I clicked a button on accident. Despite what people tend to think, because I know a lot of people, like, think I assume the worst in people, but when I want to, I can put on my skeptic hat, and I can, be like, that's not a very trustworthy source. The amount of weird images I've actually sent on Instagram. It's true, you did. It was like, oh god. The comments. So there was like a comment section, and I'm not one to be like, the comments don't pass the vibe check, but it was someone talking about how something awful happened to them, and like, well, this awful thing happens to other people, and I'm like, wow, is that your response to someone telling you something awful happened to them? Like, dude, that is so not okay. So I didn't mention that. I was like, dude, you can't, if your response to something like that is happens to other people, then you need some empathy. Trust me, I can be a not very empathetic person. I can look at something, sucks to be you, man. But, God, that takes unhuman, like, those are lizard people in the comments, just, oh god. No, it's just, oh god, just people. People are just something. Speaking of the Trump 2020, someone in my neighborhood, right, they had a Trump 2020 sign. And I found it funny because someone stole the sign, right? And the thing is, this person has a Ring doorbell. They know who stole their sign. So they could be making a fuss about it. But they're not. So I found that very odd. So I'm like, oh, the person who stole their sign must be like a teenager and they don't want to, make a big fuss about it, right? But after their sign got stolen, I walk by a couple days later, and they have 2 signs. They have another one, and then they have one that says "Fight Socialism." And I was like, they're not giving up, so I'm waiting for their signs to get stolen again, and I just want to see this, like, progress. Because I want to see how many times it takes before they just have 10 signs in their yard or something. But I was like, I kind of I want this to be a cycle. I mean, it's mean saying I want someone's sign to be stolen, but I feel like it'd be kind of a funny cycle. As awful as that is. But yeah, so keeping an eye on it. I don't think anyone's gonna steal their sign again. My dog hates their sign. He started growling at it, and I was like, okay, bud, you've got your own my dog's got political views. Nah, it was just moving in the wind, and he was so scared of it. He also fights piles of rocks, so he's not the brightest thing. And I do show him on my Instagram pictures of my dogs obsessively. So I apologize for anyone who follows me there, because I'll just post little pictures of my little goblin dogs and be like, look at the goblins. You want the sign to be stolen? That's a thing, alright? Because, we've had multiple houses with Black Lives Matter signs, and theirs haven't been stolen. Which, to be fair, that is something I would kind of expect to be stolen in my neighborhood. Not to, think the worst in people, but it wouldn't surprise me. But I was like, the Trump sign. It was quick, too. It was gone within a couple days. I was like, that, it just, whoo. I'm like, I kind of expected it to be a week or so, but someone just snatched it. I mean, everyone in our neighborhood, not like everyone, but there are a couple of people who are like crazy sign people with like a million different signs in their yard. It's like, okay, man, calm down. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, those people might take the BLM sign. I don't know. I was saying my neighborhood's fairly calm, which is nice. Aside from the people who own dogs who don't know how to, control a dog. Oh, those people are lovely. I've already expressed my opinions on it. If you can't control your dog, that's your fault. But, yeah. There's a Great Dane in my neighborhood, though, and I've been wanting to pet that dog forever, right? Because it's so big. And I was actually walking with my dog, and I was like, can I pet him? And the lady was like, I'm sorry, I don't trust my dog around your dog. And I was like, well, my dog is 20 pounds, so, fair point. Has it been an hour? Oh my God, it's been 52 minutes. I never realized how much I ramble and how much I can talk and how fast I can talk until I start doing these. Do I speak quickly? I always thought I spoke at a normal pace, but I noticed when I don't have another person around, I tend to speak very quickly, because I like people who speak quickly, so it's just a thing I do. I don't know. I also don't like my voice. That's the thing, right? I am aware of how high-pitched my voice is. It's a bit above average speed, but I speak quickly too. Alright, so it's not, annoyingly, quick. Yeah. My favorite things when people complain about my voice, I'm like, what do you want me to do about it? I can't exactly change that. And I don't normally intentionally, because I can intentionally make it higher pitched than it is now, and it's very annoying. But I don't do that. Oh, your voice is good. Good for screeching at people. But yeah, so I'm gonna head out in a couple minutes. I've got to work on this guy right here. He's got one layer of sealant left, and then I get to attach his fur. And after I attach his fur, the only things left will be, I think I'm gonna put some lining in his lower jaw so you don't see the inside, which is white. And then I gotta put the lining in the fursuit. I've got to give him some fabric right here so you can't see through him. That might be part of the lining. That might just be easier to attach the lining and make that, because my lining is somewhat see-through. I've used it for eyes on a previous fursuit and it's worked mighty fine. See, part of me wants to be like, oh, I want to dress up as Among Us, and I'm doing that. But also part of me wants like, oh, I want to get pictures of this fursuit. I'm like, it might be a 2-in-1. I bring the fursuit. I might get pictures of both. I'm excited for Halloween. I know I'm really upset that I can't really hand out candy, despite what people may think, and despite the fact I don't like little kids. I do like handing out candy, which I find that's such a creepy thing to say. I'm aware of how creepy that sounds. And I don't know if it's the fact, like, I like costumes, so it's like, oh, a bunch of little costumes, and then I give them candy and they go away. But, you know, that's something I really like doing, is handing out candy. And last year, because of the neighborhood I was in, we had 8 trick-or-treaters, and we were handing out king-sized candy bars, and I was so upset. You come get your candies. See, that's the thing though. We were handing out multiple king-sized candy bars because we had no children coming in the neighborhood. I'm like, I understand there's not a ton of kids in this neighborhood, but I thought there was more than 8. So yeah, my friend and I just watched horror movies, which was a fun experience. I'm not a horror movie person. I will watch one, but that's it, and it can't be anything too bad. Like Saw. I really liked Saw, and I'm not a big horror movie person. So I thought Saw was good. So I don't know. I might pressure people. And see, I'm always like, gotta watch one horror movie, despite the fact I don't like them. I'll make people watch them with me. So Saw was good. What else was? That's about it. I mean, that's the only one I can recall watching. I think I've seen, The Purge. I really like The Purge. I've only seen one of them. I think it was election year, and then I've seen like half of another one. But I really like The Purge, and that's about it. That's like all the horror movies I'll sit down and watch. I haven't seen too many because I don't like them. I know everyone's always like, The Nightmare Before Christmas, but The Corpse Bride. I think The Corpse Bride is better. Personal preference, I think the animation's smoother. I like the characters more, just personal preference, I guess. But yeah, I will probably be trying to pressure people into watching The Corpse Bride with me, which is not available on Netflix, unfortunately, as I've learned, as of when I last watched it, which was about 6 months ago, I think. So I always have to pirate it. Corpse Bride is just permanent singing. Yeah, there's like 3 good songs in the Corpse. I think there's only 3. I know there's one about how the girl died. And I want to say, and then Victor sings one, but he's sad. I think that's it. Maybe there's a 3rd. But yeah, it's different than Nightmare Before Christmas. And I like it better. I think the story's stronger. Alright, I'm here. Oh, Amber, you're joining, right? It's like I'm wrapping up. Yeah, I'm happy with Bird Boy here. If you guys want to see his gimmick, I don't know if I want to show the gimmick or if I want to wait for it to be a surprise. So what do you guys think? Should I like wait for the gimmick with the suit, or do you want to see like its whole thing? Because I really don't mind either way. And I noticed my YouTube and my Instagram audience don't tend to overlap as much. Whole thing. Only 3 people. Alright, so here's the gimmick. Is it's got teeth in there. That's the whole gimmick of the suit, because I stuck my hand in sealant. That was like, I've never done like a moving jaw. So there's his hinges, and he's got, I had to make these teeth out of thermoplastic, and I mean, that's really, I wasn't really sure how I felt about this stuff, but it is really hard stuff. Like, it's, you can't leave it in anywhere hot. So, I know it sounds like redundant with like a fursuit head, right? But it should be fine for like normal suiting and stuff. I just wouldn't leave it in like a hot car or something, which I don't know who would ever leave their fursuit in a hot car. I wouldn't, but I'm also like very careful with my suits. I'm very gentle with them. Despite the fact that I know I could be rougher with my suits. I tend to be like, oh, poor babies. But yeah. Fair. Yeah, so I am excited to get him done. $5 fan and sticking. I mean, it's not a bad idea to get a $5 fan and stick it in the suit. This one just, I'm ready for him to be ready. I think, I don't want to be like, I'll finish him this weekend, because every time I say I'll finish the suits quickly, I don't, and then I push it off. But I'll probably finish him before Halloween. Make quality work. I'm like LSD. I got blocked by LSD on my alt account. And that's the thing, right? On my alt account, the only thing I did was, and I didn't even get blocked immediately for doing it. I just said, oh, look, they love it, I swear, because she was like, the previous owner has mentioned they're very happy with the quality of the suit. And I just like went, they love the quality. I swear, guys, I swear. Ignore the dozens of bad reviews. And she didn't block me immediately, as I still had access to her account for like 2 more weeks, and then she blocked me, which means she couldn't have even seen like the story at that point. And I'm like, I have 30 followers on my alt. Okay, lady. Which is odd because on my alt, I just now started following the LSD Beware account, LSD Fursuit, who is a different, because LSD Fursuit got in a little drama with Accessar and, I don't know if I'm saying that right, the other one, who I don't remember her name, and I was explaining that to someone, and then LSD Fursuit, so I'm like, no, not the maker, the Beware account, they're different people, I swear, but yeah, I'm not sure how I felt about that, because this person essentially bought the suit, and they planned to upsell. They planned to sell it for more than they bought it for no reason. But they forgot to put a reserve on the dealer's end. So, Accessar, I think it was Accessar. Alright, it was something and something, Cacti something. There was 2 of them. I'm just going to call them Cacti. So Cacti bought the suit, and essentially bought it for $400, right? But the person was like, oh, hey, no, I wanted to get $500. I'm new to the dealer's den, and I didn't put a reserve on it. And they were like, well, hey, no, I thought I was getting a deal here. You can't just do that, because technically it's against the terms of service. But the thing is, right? So it really depends, but they ended up talking in DMs. They're like, oh, they blocked me, so I can't get it. What I think happened was the 2 people who were buying the suit, I think they were like, listen, you're gonna sell me this suit, or I'm going to tell they both have like 20,000 followers. One of them has like 20,000. So I feel like it's not unreasonable to assume one of them said, you're gonna sell me the suit, or I'm going to tell my fan base. And that's a really scary thing, because 20,000 people is a lot of people. So that's what I think happened behind closed doors, because the person ended up sending it to them for free. Now, because considering what they were planning to do was upselling it, they were in the wrong. So everyone here was in the wrong. LSD Fursuit kind of jumped on that, which I can't blame her for. Like, I'd be mad if I thought an artist was being scammed. LSD Fursuit doesn't exactly have a huge history with, being careful with stuff and thinking her actions through, but she's also a really good Beware account on LB. She is like, she really pointed out the hypocrisy of LB was like, oh no, someone's suit broke it because it was a Mer suit, and so she slandered Triton. There's a lot of scum in that job. I agree. So it was just, I think it was just poorly handled all around. And I was like, listen, there's no proof that they said, you better sell me the suit or I'll sick my fans. But that's not unreasonable, and considering all we have is the people who got the suit for free, yeah, no. And I was like, did you even, they're like, we're trying to get in contact with them. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, I can guarantee you there has to be some way to get in contact with them. Their dealer's den account has to be. I feel like they're making it sound like it's harder to get in contact with someone than it is, because you could even be like, does anyone know who owned this suit, because I want to pay them for the suit, I feel like they don't particularly care. But at the same time, that's only like guessing, because, whatever. And so I actually made a couple story posts, and I said, at the end of the day, the person was an adult and chose to send them the suit, regardless of the circumstances around it. And they're like, that's a really well thought out opinion. I'm like, did you not read the other post where I said I thought you threatened them into sending you the suit? Like, I feel like you kind of, I'm like, I have no proof of that, but you also, won't release all the DMs, so, and all the DMs don't exist anymore, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's just, I always thought, oh, not everyone can be in the wrong, but not, everyone was in it. This is, Tiger King levels of, there was no good person in this. I mean, I'd say LSD Fursuit was trying to do a good thing. Like, hey, are you trying to, use your following to scam other artists? And by the way, the person, mentioned, oh, no, this is better because, the maker said she was happy it was in my hands. I'm like, the maker's happy because you have 20,000 followers and can give her PR. I'd be happy if Majira owned one of my suits, But not because I like Majira, because I like his following and the, you know, the publicity he can give me. Like, I highly doubt that the maker was like, I want you to have it. The maker probably is just happy it's with someone who can give her some publicity. Because I'm real here. That's how fursuit makers work. If I had the option to sell my suit to someone who had a large following, I'm not going to turn that down. Because the amount of money I'd lose on the suit, like say I'd want to sell for $600 and they offered me $400, the amount of money I'd lose on the suit, I would gain in followers, which is kind of like, and people who like support my work, and more people would be willing to buy it. So that is, I mean, as cruel as that sounds, that is how fursuit makers work. I don't know. I just found the entire situation sketch. I can't believe LB, she was doing these adopts, right? And I'm not one to be like, I am an adopt expert, but I create some fairly okay designs. They aren't as butt ugly as the one she's trying to sell. So she couldn't sell these adopts, but she's like, it's going to be available as a fursuit. And I'm like, why though? Clearly they weren't good enough to buy. So are you sure it's not just the design? I'm like, dude, pay me $20 and I'll give you something better than what you have. Because the suits she has are clearly, I have to say, they have to be designed with the fur she has. Because it's just such random colors to put together. It's not like a good color scheme for a fursuit. Because I could, once again, I'm not a color palette person, but I could throw together fairly. I mean, this is an interesting color palette at the very least. It was a matter of circumstance because I have this paint and the yellow paint and then certain colors of fur, right? But, you know, it's not brown in orange and red and green, which I do believe is one of the color palettes on one of her adopts. So, you know, whatever. She clearly, I like this color palette. I did throw together Salem's color palette, but I also had the fur around too. I tend to throw together suits with just fabric I have on hand, which is why I keep a lot of fabric that look good together. Like, you know, that blue I use on like every other one of my suits. Where do you get the mesh for eyes? Let's see. Joann's and Hobby Lobby. You don't want this stuff right here. It's too meshy. But you want the stuff that's a little more close. Thank you. Close together. I don't like the stuff that most people, buckram, I believe. I don't like buckram. I think it's too hard to see out of, and I am very poorly coordinated, so I will give up the eyes and let them look meshier for the sake of being able to see. And this fursuit maker I follow, plastic canvas mesh, yes. This fursuit maker I follow who used buckram was like, yeah, no, I'm switching out of buckram. Like, she goes, I'll sacrifice the look for actually being able to, because you don't have to paint the back of it black. You can, but I don't, because you don't need to. It's fairly easy to see out of. You can't see through it. It's like the perfect. And if the eyes aren't one color, if they have like a pattern to them, for the most part you can't see through it. Highly recommend. And then for eyes, I get foamies. I get the thicker ones, and they're like $2 per piece. And it's enough to get like a pair of eyes out of one, I'd say. Maybe even more, depending if you do 2D or 3D eyes. If you do 3D eyes, that's enough to get one out of each sheet. But yeah, those are my personal recommendations. But yet again, I do tend to, you know, I'm a bit of a cheapskate when it comes to this stuff because I fund my own hobbies, no one funds them for me. So I pay for all the stuff that I use. Particularly the mold maker, which was like extortion. This is like $40, which I understand mold maker's expensive, but you should have seen my face when I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, oh God, this is gonna be, your hobbies are pretty profitable. Yeah, for the most part, I'm not allowed to touch the profits of my hobbies. Those are college fund. How much would this sell for? The bird? It's a good question. If I were going off the amount of labor I put into it, definitely $400 or $500. I'm not, yeah, for the most part, I don't touch, yeah. I usually I take birthday funds and I take like Christmas funds, and those can hold me over the entire year. And I didn't even get a ton for, like, of cash and stuff. I always tell people, I'm like, whatever you do, I'm like, I love you all, but please just give me cash. I can use it anywhere. I don't have to worry about them accepting Visa if it's a gift card. I like having, you know, actual, like, cash to use. I feel kind of bad about using cash now because of the coin shortage. I'm always like, I'm sorry, that's all I have on me. But I don't like having a card either. I prefer having it with me. How are you meant to afford to get new stuff? Mostly just Christmas stuff. And I usually ask for, if I get certain things, I will get them for, like, birthdays. I'll ask, like, hey, can you get these things? Because I'm very hard to shop for. Because you can't just give me normal fabric. I'd never use normal fabric. But then nobody knows what minky is and what kind of minky and what colors of minky and, you know, all this stuff. So I'm easier to just get a gift card for. Or I'll just be like, hey, parent, this is what I want. And I will just send them, like, just give me this. And my mom's like, okay. Like, last year's Christmas, I did get a computer, which was a big ask. Because my mom was like, I don't know what to buy you, child. You're impossible to shop for. So I was like, you know what? I would really love a computer I could use art for, so that's just what I did. That was like my only present, but it was worth it. And I use the computer a lot. I use it for school, and I also, you know, which means take 100 or something, turn it into several hundred. True. I do plan, after I make the fish suit, I plan to make another kimono with more polished style, and sell. Because I want to see how well the removable eye domes work on the fish before I do it and sell it. Although I'm pretty good at, I do plan to sell Mochi, or not Mochi, Silver. Silver is his name. He's a Mochi raptor. And then my Nightshade, Scotty. I think that's it. I almost sold this puppet I had, but I decided to scrap it and use it for fur. Because some of the fur in it was pretty okay. It's a little low quality fur, but if I don't shave it down, it really doesn't matter. Because I've seen makers prefer to use, like, I prefer to use thinner fur because I get really hot. I have asthma, so I can't. If I start wheezing, that's really, really bad. And the last thing I need is to send myself into. I also don't deal with heat well as a person. I don't like being hot. Pre-made suit for now, work my way up to commissions. That's what I recommend. If you ask me, commissions aren't worth it, point blank, period. Except for my art commissions, which are open, which I'll barter with you. I always put 25, but I'll accept a little less depending on the character. I highly recommend, if you're going to do commissions, start with something small like art commissions, because then if you don't know how PayPal works or something and you get scammed, it's only like a $25 art commission and not a $300 fursuit. Which, let's be real here, if you're doing a commission for a fursuit, it's way more than $300. But I also recommend with fursuit makers, make pre-made, sell through Etsy first. I like Etsy. It's easy to use. Don't use their shipping labels. Go, here's a little trick I learned from the lady at USPS. USPS is good for packages 12 inches and under. If it's over 12 inches, go to UPS or go to FedEx. They have cheaper prices. But if it's 12 or under, USPS. That's like my big shipping tip. That's what the lady at USPS told me. And she's, you know, she had no reason, she doesn't care. Kind of looks like a bird. It is a bird. It's a bird. This is actually, the base doesn't have the spots for the extra eyes or the scales. I sculpted those on today, or yesterday. I think it was supposed to be an owl, but I don't know, the beak's a little big, so now I think it's just a generic bird griffin thing. I might sell copies of this base. The dragon, the dragon's such a pain in the butt to cast that I would only sell like full made fursuits with it. 5 eyes and a big beak, it's a murder owl. Yeah, plus the little scales. I wanted to make something, that's the thing, right? I wanted to make a scary fursuit, but I don't want the classic, ooh, black and red fursuit, ooh. That's such an overdone, like, thing. So I decided, once again, I took inspiration from by Clockwork Creations, and I really liked, like, the multiple eyes. I liked how the eyes weren't, like, that suit has, like, white eyes, but I wanted a little something, so I kind of went with these, like, cross eyes and stuff. And someone goes, what's that supposed to be? Dude, that's me when I draw, like, any species other than, I can do cat girls fairly okay, but everything else, it's like what's that supposed to be? I'm like, it's supposed to be a dragon with hooves, but it kind of just looks like an abomination. Which, I don't know why all my suits, or not suits, all my fursonas are just dragons with hooves. I don't know what part of me thinks that's original, but every time I design a sona, I go, dragon with hooves. I'm like, what is the logic behind this? Do I just want to make a My Little Pony character subconsciously and I don't know? I'm like, why is it hooves? I can draw dragon claws, it's not a problem, I just give them hooves. And then I always give them little demon tails with the little triangle at the end. I guess would that be a spade? I don't know. But yeah, it's just, I clearly have a go-to character. Like, someone would be like, design a character. I'd be like, alright, either it's gonna be a wolf or it's gonna be a dragon with hooves. One of those two. You can run better with hooves. True, but it kinda, it must not be very effective dragons. I always give them like big, huge eyes. Plague Doctor mask. I made a fursuit, my Plague Doctor mask. But personally, I would love to see, there's a thing that people will dress up and wear a Plague Doctor mask, and like, it's a really cool aesthetic. I highly recommend checking it out. Like, I'm not sure, it's a very Tumblr-esque thing. I'm not sure what the tag would be, so I'd search up like Plague Doctor OC, and I'm sure you can find some cosplays. But my favorite has to be this person who dressed up in like full gothic Lolita with a Plague Doctor mask, and I thought it was like the cutest thing. Like, if I hadn't done what I did with Alchemy, I'd be doing that. Which, Alchemy still has her own problems as a suit. I really like her as a character and stuff, despite the fact I don't draw her very often. She's one of my favorite characters. But her suit's just a little, like, on the back I have long hair, so I just had to worry about catching my hair in the zipper. Which I guess would be something because the lining's attached, so I'm not wearing, like, a balaclava under. So I guess that's to be expected. It's just a little bit like, my hair! Because I don't like getting my hair stuck in things. It's not very, I don't think anyone does. It's not exactly a pleasant experience. My favorite has to be when I close my hair in the fridge. It's not even that long, so I don't even know how I managed to do that, but I did. I could literally just make a story on the stupid stuff I do day to day. I had a habit for a while of walking into door frames. I would just walk into them, just walk, hit my head, walked into a door frame. And I'd get like bruises. I'm like, I'm not that stupid either. I'm like, I have poor coordination, but I didn't think I was that bad. Well, Plague Furry, that's what Alchemy is. Alchemy's gonna have friends. I'll have to take her suit out and do some pictures. Because she's, once again, I have so many characters that would work for, like, Halloween pictures, or that I could wear for Halloween, and here I am, like, no, we're doing an Among Us cosplay, and I'm the one who's, like, been like, we have to do this. It's like, I'm like, and you're doing it with me, because I'm not doing this by myself. I have poofy hair, and it's a pain. Ooh, I don't have poofy hair, I just have long hair. To be fair, you can see my hair in, like, half my videos. Half the time, it's just there. The only thing I've got bad hair, just in general. I did not win the genetic lottery for that. The only thing I have is it's blonde, and that's about it. Yeah, I really got screwed in the hair department. Which, you know, I guess that's not the worst. I mean, I guess I could always wear a wig. Which I love cosplay wigs. That's the thing, I'd be the white and I'll get to be the black. Woo! That's the character. Which, 2020 hindsight, wearing all black on Halloween, in the dark, what could go wrong? I look like Sideshow Bob. No, it's not great. The only reason you think so is because I blow dry it before I hang out with you. To the person in the chat, for those who are not paying attention, which I never pay attention when I'm watching YouTube videos, but you know what I'd love to do? I'd love to do a podcast. Doesn't that sound fun? I'd have to get someone to do it with me, though, and I don't know anything about how to make a podcast or anything like that, but, like, that just sounds like something fun to do. I mean, essentially, that's what I don't want to say that's what I do here, because podcasts are slightly more structured than the absolute rambling that this is. Meet with our Plague Furries. I wish. I can't go to any big conventions. One, I don't like people, so the idea of going to a big convention sucks for me. But two, my parents were like, you're not going to a furry convention, which I understand. I wouldn't also want my kid to, like, go to a convention where the main theme is, like, people wearing masks, right? Like, an anime convention, sure, wear your fursuit, but you're not going to a furry convention. I'm like, all right, you know, that's not an unreasonable request. So I was planning on doing an anime convention last year, but, you know, the Rona started happening. I was like, ooh, I'm not sure if I want to do this. And then I was like, yeah, no. And then the convention didn't happen anyways. So I was like, you know what? Dodged a bullet there. Which, I guess so. Why can't you do convention? I would want to go with someone. I always feel like I couldn't do a convention, especially by myself. But big conventions just sound awful to me. Like, I could do our local anime convention, and that's about it. But I couldn't do, like, Comic-Con, where's Comic-Con real popular, like San Diego or something? I don't know. Comic-Con in New York, couldn't do that. I could not, yeah, no. No, thank you, that sounds awful. But, like, a small anime convention, like, our local one is, like, a good medium-sized convention. I think a couple thousand, like, maybe, like, 2,000? I don't know. It's an amount where I wouldn't be overwhelmed to go to that size of convention. So that's what I want to do. And I've heard that there are, like, other furries who go there. I have social anxiety. I don't have social anxiety like you, but I just don't like people. Which is odd because for years I was like, I am an extrovert. I am an extrovert. I swear. But no, I really like hanging out with people. But after a certain point, I'm like, yeah, I'm done. This is too much work. So for years I was like, oh, I am an extrovert. I was like, no, I'm not. I kind of had to accept that one, that I don't really like people that much. I like certain people that I know well, right? But after I hit a threshold with people, I'm like, after a certain amount of time, I'm ready to go home. Exactly. I'm like for sleepovers, I don't particularly love sleepovers because after a certain point I'm like, all right, get out of my house now, I'm done with you. And it's not even because I get mad at the people, I'm just so done with being around people. I'm like, yeah, that's probably not a great thing to suddenly be like, all right, social batteries burnt out, I'm ready to go. Like, yeah, what I really loved homecoming. I don't think there'll be homecoming this year. But I really loved doing stuff like that because I was like, just the right amount, and then everyone goes home at the end. I'd go with friends, but none of my friends are furry. That's how I am. In real life, I have no friends who are furries. Very few who watch anime. Like, so technically homecoming hasn't been postponed. It's been pushed back. And a friend and I, not the friend I keep yelling at in this stream, a different one, we're both like, I think the winter dance is going to become homecoming. So we're thinking, you know, 3 furries. Well, who are the other 2? You can't just, you're going to have to DM me with the other. Is it the one chick who ran around the school in a fursuit? We had a girl who ran around the school in a fursuit, which was good for her. You told me. All right. Wait. Oh, is it the one kid? I feel like I know who you're talking about, but I don't think I can reference the person because I don't want people's names on my stream. But yeah, so if anyone's ever creating a podcast, hit me up. I also notice I tend to, like, completely divert from whatever topic I'm talking about, which is, can't call them out on live streams. Go to the arcade with some friends in Corona. That'd be fun. I'd really love to do bowling in Fursuit. That's something I've always wanted to do. But there are no local fur meets near me. I am sure as hell not organizing a local fur meet. Like, no thank you. And I wouldn't, once again, I don't know a lot of furries. Like, I am the only furry in the friend group, which is fine, because once again, that's not, like, my personality, and, like, a lot of people are willing to listen to me ramble about, like, oh, here's this, you know, suit I'm making, here's what I'm doing for it. Do I know more furries than you? You do, because all I know is the one chick who ran around the school in a fursuit on Halloween. But she wasn't allowed to put the head on, so she was just running around. She could put the head on for pictures, and that was it. And I got a picture with her in this leather jacket that I got, but that night the leather jacket ripped, and I was so upset because I really loved the leather jacket. Which I know is, like, the randomest thing. And it was someone's old leather jacket, so it was, like, oh god, that thing was probably, like, 15 years old, so it was probably its time, but still, I was like, I love this jacket so much. All my furry friends are internet friends except for FBI. I say that's the best thing. I with people online, I feel like people need to teach people that, like, not everyone online is a creepy old man in his basement, but some people are. So, like, it's easier to make friends online because, like, you already have that shared interest. It's not like, in real life, it's like really it's chance. Like, do they happen to have similar interests? Do our personalities click? That works. But, like, IRL, it's really kind of, you know, iffy. But, like, I like how, like, online is really easy to make friends. The only downside is I have a very low social battery, so occasionally I'm just like, yeah, I'm done for today, and I will just stop responding. And I'm like, I'm not trying to ghost someone. I'm done with social interaction for the day, or I have stuff to do. Easy because we have that exactly. I found out the other two because I saw them looking up video game. Oh no! No, oh god, I've done this because I'm doing this as a favor to someone who's drawing characters as furries. Which is fun because it's a very loose prompt. They're like, make it look like, one of them was Harley Quinn as a furry, right? Which I can do. I love Harley Quinn. It was mine's safe for work too. That's the thing. I was talking to someone, I was like, I don't do not safe for work because it was on my alt. And on my alt, I do way different art than I do, like, because I do the very chibi stuff on my normal account. But I was like, I don't do an SFW, but everyone has a price. Like, I can guarantee you if someone offered me, I'm not going to say what the price is, but I'm like, I would be willing to step over my morals and do that, like, you know, because, like, you know, I don't care. It's not associated with me IRL, so what's it matter? But I was like, yeah, I probably wouldn't now, because I'm a minor and it's a little illegal, just a tad, but yeah, I was like, every artist has a price. Like, as much as artists don't want to tell you that they do, a lot of them, now I'll be like, all right, some of them don't, but a fair amount will, like fursuit makers. A lot of fursuit makers, I don't make mersuits, but they will if you give them a good enough price. LSD is apparently making mersuits now, which I find hilarious. Because, like, that's the thing, though, right? It's not like someone who, I don't even think Triton was a mersuit. Let's say Triton was. Triton would have been a very quiet, you know. But, like, no, she was just like, oh, no, these people who are obviously very well known. Like, I've seen, like, their tweets pop up and stuff. I was like, she really knew who she was selling to. And I thought that was really odd because she really condemned Triton for allegedly, you know, doing that. But then she's like turning around and, oh no, it's fine. And oh no, my content is 18 plus. I'm sure it is. Alright, so now because it has been, let's see, it's 60 minutes is an hour. It's like an hour and a half. This is far too long of a live stream. I am going to head out. So I'd like to thank you all for watching. If you're ever interested in any of my customs, I have them up for sale on my Etsy. You can get to my Etsy by going to my Instagram and then clicking the link there. You can look me up on Etsy at LPS Treasure. My Instagram is Sakura, and then there's a .studios. Or if you just look up Sakura Studios, there's like 3 people with the account name and the other 2 are inactive. So it's me, I'm the one with the little pink dog character. So I'd like to thank you all for watching. I will be posting more work in progress stuff as I make the suit. And possibly my Halloween cosplay. So